Hey, my handsome ladies and gentlemen, this is Shmeaty. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new. Today we're going to be taking a look at a pretty interesting team I made in the Sunshine Cup that actually had really good results. All three Pokemon, bear in mind, are very flexible in this cup and are able to play out of even pretty bad matchups for them. Shadow Quagsire, pretty ubiquitous in this cup, really good Pokemon. Shadow Typhlosion, very underrated COREBREAKER, and devastating closer. Up one shield or one incinerate, this Pokemon goes absolutely disgustingly nutty in this format. And Credilli is also a really decent COREBREAKER that I did not see a lot of people taking advantage of. But with all that being said, if you find enjoyment in today's video, don't forget to leave it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. But we're going to be picking up an amazing lead in the first match, leading our Quagsire into Talonflame. Talonflame is really one of the incentives for me to build a team like this, as I just decided if you're going to run Talonflame, you are not going to have fun. Speaking of having fun, this trainer's having fun calling my bait. I am absolutely in shambles after they called my bait there because I was not expecting them to make that good of a call. One Aqua Tail not going to be enough to KO there, so they are going to call the Aqua Tail bait and be able to land a fly onto my Quagsire, but that's okay. I'm going to be able to land an Aqua Tail onto their Dunsparce pivot, and Dunsparce is actually not that threatening. Although we are very low here, I'm going to be able to make two Aqua Tails here, and now Credilli comes in and just eats drill run after drill run after drill run. Two drill runs, not even going to be close to KOing here. I'm pretty sure Credilli can tank 3, but at that point, we'll just have enough energy to have a move to throw into this Dunsparce, so not really anything to fear there. They're going to actually pivot out into their Breloom. Breloom comes in, force palming, massive damage, but now I'm just able to make this Grass Knot, and Grass Knot gonna do a sizable amount of damage onto the Breloom. Breloom not able to make a move, in comes the Typhlosion, getting incinerated down is the Breloom, and up one shield or one incinerate, Typhlosion cooks the entire meta back, in comes the Talonflame and the Dunsparce, getting incinerated down. GG's. The story of this cup is Quagsire, if it just is on the lead, is just going to have a pretty good time. As long as it doesn't see a grass type, this opponent safe switches into a Wigglytuff, and oh no, Shadow Typhlosion has something to say about that. They're going to shield up a Thunder Punch, and they're going to be able to make a move here. But honestly, I'm able to grab both shields or switch advantage with my Typhlosion, so why would I not do that? We have back-to-back Thunder Punches once again, so we may even be able to grab both shields and switch. Oh my goodness, the poor cringe trainer cannot stop themselves from running Wigglytuff in a limited meta, and Wigglytuff goes down, conceding both switch and shield advantage. They're going to bring in a Whimsicott, which is problematic for the rest of my team to see. However, I'm going to bring in Credilli. Credilli does have a pretty neutral matchup here. Unfortunately, Rock Slide, very underwhelming move. So we are going to have to fire off a Rock Slide into the Whimsicott. And basically, if you're a Grass type, forced to fire off a Rock Slide, or any Pokemon forced to fire off a Rock Slide, you're not in the best position ever. Now, the opponent is going to make a catch onto their Magcargo here, but they don't seem to realize how terrible of a play that is, because they're just going to get fully farmed down. I don't care what damage they throw here. I'm really going to be unfazed by all of it. It's a Rock Tomb, and now we get the full farm down of that Magcargo, firing off the Stone Edge onto the Whimsicott. Whimsicott is very good at doing one thing in this cup, and that is shutting down Shadow Flygon, but unfortunately there was no Shadow Flygon on this team, and Whimsicott goes down. GG's. In the next game, Quagsire does not always pick up a good lead. It's going to be a Breloom on the lead, and this is not very fortunate for us. Breloom on the lead is a little bit unfortunate because it resists all the energy from our Quagsire, but we can build up to a potential Sludge Bomb and make the Breloom shield, and that is a very good thing for us. The Breloom probably would have preferred to respect the Stone Edge anyway. As you can see, an Aqua Tail does quite a bit of damage onto the Breloom. That did more damage to the Breloom than the drill runs from the Dunsparce were doing to my Credilli. Nevertheless, we're going to bring in our Typhlosion, looking for that farm down and an Incinerate lead. We're going to put up a shield on whatever this is. If it was a Seed Bomb, it probably would have did like 80%. I'm a Shadow Typhlosion. I don't have any bulk. They're going to bring in their own Shadow Typhlosion, and oh no. Now this trainer is going to make a very pivotal mistake as they play into the CMP tie that they do not win. Shout out to Old Slice Henry for that one. And Thunder Punch easily enough to KO their Typhlosion. In comes a Talonflame. Breloom double Incinerate is going to be absolutely cooked by an opposing Typhlosion. Thunder Punch is going to nearly pick up the KO onto the Talonflame here, and now I don't have to shield this move. A Brave Bird would not KO the Credilli, so I'm not going to shield. It's a fly anyway, and I'm firing off the Rock Slide. This game is over. GG's to this trainer. In the next game, our Quagsire is going to lead into a Dunsparce, and this is also a lot of the incentive for me wanting to run Quagsire on the lead. Resisting rollout is a very good thing in this limited meta, as Dunsparce was absolutely everywhere. Firing off an Aqua Tail into the opposing Flygon does grab his shield, and I'm going to fire off this next Aqua Tail on suboptimal timing. Now this is intentional, I'm not coping, this is actually an intentional suboptimal timing to either force a second shield or a massive amount of damage onto this Shadow Flygon. I'm going to bring in my Credilli as my pivot here, as I know that I can tank either 1 Scorching Sands or 2 Dragon Claws from this Flygon and make my Grass Knot. And you may not think it, but from this range, a Grass Knot from Credilli is easily going to KO this Shadow Flygon. Down goes the Shadow Flygon, and now it was too tempting. They brought in the Breloom, but that means I can just bring in my Typhlosion, and the Incinerate lands. I don't know what kind of boomer reaction time that was, but that Incinerate landed onto that Breloom. It took massive damage. Speaking of massive damage, Dunsparce has no shields. A Blast Burn lands, they get blasted. They're gonna try to fire off a Rock Slide onto my Typhlosion. Breloom wants nothing to do with my incinerating goodness, and that's a good game. GG's. In the next game, Quagsire leads into a Talonflame, and Talonflame says, I have 2 better answers to this than back, so I'm switching out. But what I'm going to do is chip this Alolan Raticate with my Quagsire. I can opt to shield this move or not, but I don't really need my Quagsire to be very healthy for it to manage the Talonflame. So I'm going to build up a bunch of energy, switch out into my Credilli, and the reason for bringing in Credilli here is because I know that I can easily tank 2 Crunches, even if they get a debuff on the first. It appears as if they do, speaking it into existence, but that's perfectly fine. As we know, they're a Purified Alolan Raticate, so their nuke move is probably going to be a Return, but their fast attack pressure is really resisted here as it's quick attack, and their crunches are not going to be enough to KO us at 2, even with that debuff. So I said that already, but it's a Gooner in back, and Gooner is going to put up a shield on our Grass Knot. That's perfectly fine because I know that I can do more damage to it anyway with my Quagsire. Quagsire is going to fire off a move onto the Gooner. Gooner no shields the Aqua Tail, and now we're going to build up to a Stone Edge and send it. Counter's pacing is so terribly bad this season that I'm perfectly fine with going for a shield there and firing off a Stone Edge. If they no shield this could very well KO. They live on 1 HP, but because I get the 0 turn switch there and they get a 1 turn switch, that is how the game should work, by the way. I'm going to be able to outpace this Talonflame by a turn, and they realize the game is over right there. GG's to this trainer. Correction, I said I outpaced the Talonflame by a turn. I massively outpaced Talonflame on Typhlosion, but I was 1 turn ahead is what I meant. Anyway, it's going to be Quagsire leading into a Shadow Flygon. I actually really enjoy this lead, because I can guarantee either getting a shield or switch advantage. I'm going to get a shield with my first Aqua Tail, and this is going to be a Dragon Claw that very well will KO my Quagsire. 9 times out of 10 that'll KO. I think I've lived once, and it may not have even been a Shadow Flygon. They're going to switch into a Vigoroth, another counter user. Yes, this cup has just been people trying to squeeze out as much fighting type damage as they could. There are some times where there are cups like that. I believe the first ever Willpower Cup or the first ever Psychic Cup was just people trying to squeeze charm damage into the cup. It was really cringe. Nevertheless, they're going to fire off a move onto my Typhlosion. Easy shield by me. They're going to bring in the Shadow Flygon. And now, I'm going to shield my Typhlosion as I know a Blast Burn is easily going to KO here. They're going to bring in Diggersby, but Diggersby is so behind on energy. Typhlosion has 100 energy here. They're going to no-shield my Blast Burn, but I'm able to make a move here. This is actually only going to be a Fire Punch. Fire Punch does not KO, so we're able to bank that move for later, and now bring in the Cradily. Cradily is going to be able to fire off a Rock Slide on the CMP tie with this Diggersby. This is more than enough damage to KO. They're going to bring back in the Flygon. Flygon will have to respect a Grass Knot here, and now, moment of truth. If they fire off a move here, they do not. It all comes down to who wins CMP, and the Flygon wins CMP. Very close game, but well played. Good composure by this opponent. GG's. In the next game, Shadow Quagsire is going to lead into a Talonflame once again, and now they're going to switch into a Diggersby. Diggersby not going to be a big fan of this Aqua Tail damage, and Aqua Tail is going to do a solid amount to this Diggersby. Diggersby now below 50% HP. They play into the CMP tie that they do not win, and maybe they live it, but they do not. They're going to get swept by a Quagsire and top left the game. GG's. We've reached the final game of the video, and another game, another Talonflame lead. This Pokemon was inevitable at the early ranks in the veteran Elo I was at playing this cup. Nevertheless, they're going to safe switch into their Alolan Raticate, but Alolan Raticate's not going to enjoy the fact that we have a Stone Edge at the ready for it. They're going to be able to make multiple crunches here, as my pacing on Cradily is not the fastest, but that's perfectly fine. Here's going to be another crunch, but the first one didn't debuff, so as we know, we don't have any incentive to shield that move. Second one doesn't debuff either, and we're just going to build up to the back-to-back Rock Slides and fire them off back-to-back. So I'm going to tap the first Rock Slide, they shield up, I'm going to under-tap the second Rock Slide and actually lose CMP. Wasn't very familiar with this CMP tie. Cradily does oftentimes lose CMP, but I'm perfectly fine with that outcome, got all the energy out of that Alolan Raticate, and so Typhlosion's easily able to come in, get a nice 2 Incinerate head start, and now they're going to bring in their Talonflame. I fire off 2 more Incinerates. It's very easy to catch an Incinerate, catch onto an Incinerate user, I should say. I'm going to fire off 2 more Incinerates, bank 2 more Thunder Punches, and now the Goonerin back is going to be firing off the Obstruct onto my Quagsire, hoping to boost their counter damage, but that's not going to be enough to undo the absolute neutering counter received in this current Season 20. They're going to fire off a move on their Talonflame. I can opt to either shield this or not. I'm going to opt to shield it up, as a Thunder Punch is not quite going to KO from there. A Stone Edge is reached by my Quagsire, and this is going to be a very easy grab of that final shield from the Talonflame. We're going to be able to fire off a Thunder Punch here. Thunder Punch nearly KOs the Talonflame. They don't have any shields left and get incinerated down once again. GG's to this trainer. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot to me, and so too does the massive amount of support you guys have been showing the videos recently. I really appreciate every like, every comment, every share. I do see all of it, so thank you very much for all that you guys have been doing to try to uplift my content and all the nice things you guys have been saying in the comment section down below. Apologies for getting this content out late, and I really would have liked to share this team earlier on so that you guys could have something that you could have run in the Sunshine Cup, especially because I've noticed it wasn't really the most fun for that many people involved. But we are entering a bit of a drought, a very cursed rotation with the Little Cup Halloween Edition and the Master League. Maybe a little bit of a Go Battle League drought, so hopefully you find enjoyment in today's video, and I will still strive to get some content out to you guys nonetheless. All that being said though, thank you again so much for watching. This has been Shmeaty. I hope to see you guys again next time, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.